All right, I think it's time to get started. So, hello there. It's Wednesday, September 25th. I am Rob, aka that developer dad, and the work in the user interface continues. I want to bring this thing to a limited group of people out in the public, mostly just friends and other people that I know that run D&D games. I want to bring them in as my first small group of paying customers. And before I do that, there's still a few rough spots in the UI that I want to sand down and get some polish on and stuff like that. But before we dive in, I do want to just sort of walk through a brief demonstration of how the application works. Excuse me. So let's go to the screen share right now. I've got it running locally on localhost. And I'll just pull this down a little bit here. And we can see we've got our sleeping little helper here. And let's say I'm running my D&D game, and my characters, or my players, who are a bunch of practical jokers, are always asking me for outside, or details about extraneous NPCs. So like, what's the shopkeeper's name, and what do they look like, and what's their personality like, and so on. And being sort of more a story slash RP focused dungeon master, and I like to do a lot of world building and so on. I do need to refresh because the database is still waking up. And I'll edit this part out. But so being a story focused, RP focused dungeon master, I like to have that color and that detail available, and I'm not always fantastic at coming up with those details like off the top of my head in the moment. Sometimes I've got other things on my mind, or I'm focused on another aspect of the story that's going to be coming up in the session or whatever, and I my brain will fart out and we'll end up with yet another tavern keeper named Bob. So I built this application to kind of smooth that over a little bit. So you walk into the tavern and you and your friends find a empty table, and the serving girl comes along and begins to take your order. So what's the serving girl look like? Well, I don't know. So let's roll the dice. Dragonborn? No. Let's show. I think we'll make her a half elf, or we'll make them a half elf. We don't know their gender yet. So 34-year-old half elf. All right, let's roll. So I asked for an AI description, and she's got a bronze complexion. Her name is Alara Thorn. She wears sturdy clothing suitable for bar work. Warm-hearted, driven by a sense of justice, often quick to lend a helping hand. Runs a tavern where she enjoys listening to the stories of her patrons and offering advice. Yeah. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to save her for later. And we'll go back to the list. And when they come back later, I can always refer back to the notes that were generated for that character. And this is just sort of the beginning. It's a very simple implementation of the concept. I do want to flesh it out some more, but I want to bring it to some users so that I can get feedback, so that I'm not developing in a vacuum. I want to get some feedback from other dungeon masters, other game runners, maybe some authors that do a lot of story writing and could use a little help fleshing out their sort of walk-on, walk-off characters. And the idea here is to use AI not to replace that cognitive process and that creativity, but to maybe give it a little shot in the arm where you're not necessarily in the mode of creating those details around those characters right now, but you need some details to act as, sort of a placeholder or somewhere to start from. So that's what we've got. Before I bring it to other people, there's a lot of placeholder text. The way some of the headers are displayed isn't fantastic. So the first thing I'm going to do, because if we go back to the home page, we see that we've got this home page footer, application footer content, so on and so forth. I want to come through and just sort of clean up all of that stuff. So the app footer is held out in main layout. So it's here. Footer content. Goodbye. And we'll just back that up. Save it. I don't know if it'll magically refresh itself. We'll see. Yeah, I probably have to restart the entire application to get that change compiled into the controls, but that's fine. We'll get there. The home page will come over here. Home page footer. Get out of here. You can go away. Coming soon, I want to change this from an H1 to a heading, because we're going to do some things with that a little later. So I'm going to hit the hot reload, and it might do something, it might not. Okay, there we go. So we've got all this stuff. Great. That's been cleaned up nicely. Coming soon is no longer appearing really as a heading, but I wanted to move that into a heading tag for a specific reason. And we're going to cover that in a little bit. So we're good here. And we've got the sleepy little kitty. There's another thing I want to change right now. And for that, I got to open the nav menu. Come over here, because this is where the branding happens. The DMs familiar. Save that. Hot reload. Yes. Nope. I want to do a hot reload. See if that pops up. And there we are. And we're going to do some more stuff with that in later streams. But for now, good enough. Roadmap. I believe that's a heading. Let's inspect. Yep, that's inside a heading tag. Great. Let's take a look at NPCs. Here's a thing that I want to fix. It's already noted on my priorities or plan for the rest of this week. Let's focus on finding and 86ing this placeholder text and making sure that page or app, feature, and task headings are all embedded in that heading tag instead of a numbered H tag, because that is going to become important in a few minutes. So we've got nav menu, Razor. We'll save all of this. I can close this, close the CSS, create NPC, header, heading, manage NPCs. All right, here's the main. And manage NPCs is in a heading. So that's good. That's what I want to see there. Secondary on show list clicked. Okay. Save. And we should pop open and pin the Solution Explorer here. So here's create NPCs. That's looking okay. We'll close styles, animations, home, our loading component, main component, or main layout. That can stay put. Header, class, sidebar, nav menu, that's all good. Footer's empty. I do want to take another look at create NPC razor. Header, heading, good. And the footer is hidden. As a matter of fact, I'm going to come out to home, and we're just going to explicitly hide that footer. Hit hot reload. Come out here, visit the home page. Good. Because before I did the footer class equals hidden, I did have a little horizontal rule down here at the bottom that was kind of orphaned and didn't really have any kind of purpose. So I'm glad I did that to get rid of it. Here's our loading usage. It's kind of doing the thing. That's an awful lot of empty horizontal space. So we're probably going to do something to fix that up. But I'm going to just add it as a to-do. 5. NPC list on a desktop display could use a multi-column layout for the list. Items. There's a ton of white space in the individual items. Ton of, I'm going to say, wasted space. All right, so let's take a look at view. Manage NPCs, name, blah, 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 blah. So this is okay. I don't really care for manage NPCs as the title here, but that's fine. It'll do for now. Let's look at the view NPC details. So header, heading. This should also become a heading. Save that. Hot reload. Take a look. Did it change? Yes, it did. Good. And that's actually what I want to see there, because I want to affect the headings consistently. P gender. This stuff I can iterate on all of this stuff later, and I do have plans to significantly change the way this stuff is rendered and displayed. So I'm not going to mess with it too much here, but let's change all of this stuff to heading. And we're going to be able to do some fun stuff with heading. And we're going to be able to have headings rendered differently depending on if they are children of the header or the main or the footer, through the benefit of the cascading part of cascading style sheets. Because we can specify how different elements are treated based on their parents, and we'll get into that mechanic a little more deeply. Hopefully, we'll start in on that this afternoon. So heading, this needs to. Oh, this is interesting because I'm still using call9 and all of that stuff, and I'm actually not terribly happy with the way this part renders. Let's take a look at it in the UI. So go back to the list, and create. So we've got, looking at the show button here. So this is going to become a span. Save that. Button class call 3. I want to 86 that as well. But we're going to go btn-secondary. And I might actually even tear those styles out later. But let's save everything. Hit the hot reload. And come back. And we're getting a little better. Getting a little better. Show hide. Okay. Roll those dice. Okay. Now, these guys should be locked to the bottom of the UI. I don't like how they're floating there. Div class, show options panel is string. That's that. Oh yeah, this isn't laid out at all correctly. Div class, task host, header. Form group. If is reroll visible, okay. This needs to get popped in so that it's within the header document flow. And let's make sure all the things here are correct. Okay, so here's header. Here's main. Here's the footer. And there's our div. I also want to look out here to make sure that it's consistent with the structure. Div class task host, header main footer. Okay, div class task host, header main footer. Good. But I want these guys locked to the bottom here. So I'm going to need to take a look at the styles and see what's going on. So let's inspect. And task host footer, it's flex 00 auto. Margin top is auto, border top solid, padding. Okay. What about in here? Inspect. And let's actually pull this apart like that. And move activity bar to the left. No, that's not what I wanted. Whatever. Okay. So here's main. Flex 1, overflow auto, height 100. Main class is our feature host. Header. Main is here. Okay, so this is feature host header, feature host main. Task host is hidden. Which are you? Div class shown. So this guy, where are you defined? I have a feeling that's defined out in create NPC Razor. NPC attributes. I wonder if I can comment this guy out. Let's comment, and we'll need to comment this. We got to save everything, and because that's a fairly significant change, I'm going to restart the app. Come on up. Build succeeded. It's spinning. A little sip of coffee. Sign in. We'll go to the NPCs. And we'll go to create. And it looks like these are now locked to the bottom of the screen. We'll hide that. And it looks like we fixed it. Good. Good. So that means I can go ahead and get rid of these commented out divs. And that tidies up my my thing here. All right, that's a lot better. So come back out here. This is tidied up. That's a heading. That's a heading. I want to take a better look here at NPC attributes. Heading. I want to get rid of all of these H's. Heading. Heading. And heading. Save. And we're probably going to have to hit hot reload. Come on. Give me the goodies. It might need a recompile. That'd be silly if it did, but... Okay, back to list, create. All right, there we go. It's actually looking more vanilla now, but we're gonna get to fixing that in a few minutes. So that's all been consolidated and standardized. So good. Let's take a look at select NPC options. And this is a bit of a hot mess. More than a bit of a hot mess. So div class row, blah, blah, blah. Not in love with the way any of this is looking. So Are we on the create? Good. Here's this. All right. Oh, another thing that I gotta fix in the next day or so is I think we've gotten rid of the placeholder text. Good. Implement styling system, debug the initial load of the usage stats. 4. And now I have to renumber my list. 5. No, I'm not going to do that. That's silly. Bear with me. I'm scatterbrained. 6. 7. When selecting seed values for random NPC gen, retired needs to actually work. It's not true or false. It's yes, no, IDK, random. And UI cleanup. Save. Eight. Allow selection of NPC gender. 9. Maybe allow the user to supply NPC's location, town, city, village, etc. Save. Gonna be tricky. Not all species offer the same choices. Like, let's say we wanted to eventually create an NPC who's a beholder or an illithid, although we wouldn't be doing that under the public domain version of the 5e rules, because those are actually not part of the public domain rule set. But let's say we had a species that doesn't have any concept of gender, then obviously there's nothing to pick. There's some other things that I want to do eventually where the user could specify the weighting or the level of commonality of different species by, say, defining a town or a region or something like that, and saying, and just basically being able to put an integer next to each of these species types that says for every 10 humans, there's a dragonborn, there's 2 elves, 3 dwarves, a halfling, there aren't any half-orcs in this area, that kind of thing. And what that'll do is that'll give some weighting to different species, different backgrounds, so on and so forth. I'm also wanting to change the way background would impact the profession. Maybe. I feel like these two should have some relation to each other, but at the same time, I kind of don't. So we'd have to see. There's a lot of ambiguous context at play here that I may just leave up to the dice. Because if people don't care for what comes out, they can always just pick a different one or keep re-rolling until they get the background that feels right, that kind of thing. So let's take a look at the way this is rendering out here. And it's using Bootstrap Grid, and I don't really want to do that because I've got Flexbox everywhere else. And it just, I don't like having the inconsistency there. Now these are form fields. And I feel like those should be, okay, so they're already specified as labels. So H3 class, select NPC options, this has to become a heading. First thing we're going to do is remove all of the numbered header type things. Button class, toggle text. This is going to become btn, btn secondary, call 3. And this is here, show options. Oh no, that's interesting. Is this select NPC options even relevant anymore? I don't think it's used. Is this used? Save. Let's restart the whole application. I don't think that control is used anywhere. I might be able to delete it. And if that's the case, awesome. Sign in. Go to NPCs. Create. Show. Yeah, I don't think that's being used anywhere. Let's come back to view NPC attributes. Form group. Profession. Retired. Yeah. I don't think. So when I run into things that I don't think are actually being used anywhere, first thing I like to do, Control A, comment that sun gun out. Save. Run. Sign in. Sign in. There we go. We'll go to create. Show. It doesn't appear to be used. So the next step in seeing if something matters or not, we're going to select all, uncomment. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, cleans up placeholder text throughout the UI components. Consolidates all header elements to use heading instead of H something or other. Commit. And this way, if I screw something up and break something by what I'm about to do, I can just undo the change. So what we're going to do is, now that we've got a commit in place, thank you for local source control and Git, I am going to right click and delete. Just get rid of the whole darn thing. Now we can see over here in our changes that select npc options.razor and select npc options.razor.cs are crossed out. They're queued for deletion. And if I can run my application with those two files deleted, then I'm going to commit that, because that's deadwood code that I don't need to worry about maintaining anymore. So we'll sign in. And I'm going to run a couple of tests, just visual eyes on screen, hands on keyboard style tests. We'll go to NPCs, create, show, give me a dragonborn with an entertainer background who has become a cook. Roll those dice. Thick gold scales, cook, started as an entertainer. This could be an interesting description. There's Char, just for a second. Hello, Char. Yes, I'm going to name the familiar after our youngest kitty. And for some reason, we didn't get anything back from the AI. So I'm going to do it again. All right, so something is failing. That's very, very peculiar. I'm going to undo those changes. So stop. Bring these back. Run it again. We'll sign in. Sign in. Go to NPCs. Create. Show. I'm just going to pick stuff at random here. Sage. Carpenter. Set it up. All right. Generate our description. And something somewhere is going wacky. So let's debug. What changed? What caused this regression? Not the NPC filter row model, you silly goose. Go to the NPC service proxy. Actually, I'm going to come all the way out to view NPC detail, not view, but NPC attributes. Hit the footer. Go in here. Drop a breakpoint here, and I'm going to step through and see what's going on. Something wacky's happening here. Excuse me. All right. Let's bring this up. Hey, what's up, Frightful? You been doing okay? We'll generate the AI description. the kitty up? Where's the kitty? Duck pigeon. Oh, I see no pigeons coming. Those comments are for the birds, dude. All right, where's my code? Here's my code. Let's step in here. NPC page states, state is changed. Get AI description. What are you even going on about, dude? That's some goofy stuff you're talking about. So NPC AI is null for now. We'll get our user limits. Here's our quota ID. We have that. Good. Serialize for output. Here's my VM JSON. All that stuff. Good. We'll go out to the API. Step over all this stuff. Character attributes. We set the AI function, set up the args, and let's just see what happens here. So, is the result successful? That result is successful. Good. So we'll step. AI JSON is all of this stuff. Let's take a look at the JSON visualizer. Groovy. We strip the markdown. AI JSON should now be valid. Yep, that's better. And we can parse from the JSON, return our character attributes. We should have our tokens. Yep, we've got them. So we can log that out to my database. Updated quotas. We've got that. Good. Step. API payload. Let's take a look at the API result. Payload. The result. Here's my appearances and all this stuff. Good. Generated character properties. We set the AI values. So this is all working as expected. Set user limits. Updated VM. Here's updated townsperson. And I want to make sure that all of these things are in place. They are. Good. So we step some more. We return that. Our current NPC has all this stuff. Good. This is in the NPC attributes. Blah, 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 doing things. Can I run to cursor? I sure can. Okay, for some reason, view NPC attributes. We've got to go out to at appearance and at name and all this stuff. So species, cha-cha-cha. Okay, so this is view NPC attributes. Then we got to come over to view NPC details. I got to come into main and header. All right. Now let's take a look over here. And for some reason, a generate AI description. I'm going to run it again. And this is on details. And let's go. Continue. Continue. It's thinking. Continue. So I feel like over in here's NPC attributes. On AI button click. We'll go to that definition. .invoke. Let's take a look at create NPC. On AI button click. Let's go in here. We go to get AI description. We should probably take a look in here. Guard NPC services exist. Get current user. Oh, now this is interesting. NPC page model. Oh no, that's right. We have to do the state manipulation for the loading screen inside the button handler. And then we come over to create NPC. And in here, go to definition. I feel like we should probably change the page state when we return from get AI description. Let's make sure. Return NPC AI, good. And I'm going to go control minus. Yeah. I think we're going to try this. Move this to here. Get rid of our state as changed. We're just going to comment this. I feel like the logic flow isn't quite right. It's okay. Save. Now let's spin that. See what happens. And we'll sign in because we're not getting any exceptions come back. It's just, it feels like the flow of information and the updating and so on has just gotten a little bit silly. Okay, I can get rid of that breakpoint here. And there's our half-elf barkeep that we generated this morning. Let's go ahead and create. And I want to pick roll them again. There we go. Yeah, that works. Generate the description. Step over all that stuff. Get rid of that. Blah, blah, blah. It's rebinding all that stuff. Continue. And for some reason, let's hit save. I feel like save didn't do anything for me. Save it again. We'll go back to the list. And sure enough, oh yeah, we've got some goofiness happening there. Here's the elf cobbler that we just generated. So our page transitions aren't happening quite right. And this is still being silly there. And I believe that mutation happened because I got rid of that show hide thingy. And that means that's the view NPC attributes. And I don't want to be looking at the CS. I want to look at the razor. And this is task host. Good. And if I look at view NPC details, paste that. That should fix that. And let's take a look at the other controls here. NPC list, task host, this visibility. Let's save everything. So we'll stop, save everything, run the app. Hello, kitty. Meow. Eventually, I'll get bored of how cute the sleepy kitty is there. But today is not that day. All right, so there's that. Let's go to create. We're good here. Let's just roll the dice. Generate the description. It loaded back in. We could save our dude, go back to the list. Everything's behaving the way we wanted it to. Good. Do we have any more extraneous placeholder text anywhere in the application? We do not. Last thing I want to do, now that I've tracked down what the problem that I saw was, first we're going to commit these changes. fixed component rendering issue between attributes and list display. Boop. Now, because I know that we're not using this select NPC options, I still want to delete, but I do want to retest before I commit that change. So let's go ahead and spin it up one more time. And then I'm going to call it an afternoon. Tomorrow, we're going to start setting up that CSS design system. It's going to be ersatz. It's going to be homegrown. I'm not going to be like bringing in anything like Tailwind or anything like that. I don't want anything that sophisticated and complicated. And frankly, I don't want to climb that learning curve. Let's go to NPCs, create. We did modify something that has to do with selecting these things. Thief, roll them. Yeah, okay. Generate. Sorry. I will, yeah. Again, one day I will stop giggling at the cute blinking kitty, but today is not that day. We'll go back to the list. Here's Zara Gold Scale. Let's take a look at her. Yeah, she's looking pretty good. And hide that. Wonderful. I dig it. Tomorrow we're going to start working on typography and color schemes and all of that fun stuff, or at least setting ourselves up so that we can more easily iterate on and affect color schemes and so on as time goes by. But I think for today, let's call this a productive session. We did a lot of cleanup. We're that much closer to being able to start sharing this with other people, and I'm pretty happy about that. So until tomorrow, take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves, be kind to the people around you, and happy coding. Bye now.